Why hello, fellow Transformers enthusiasts. It is I, Noble2 Productions, coming at you again with a sort of new style of video I'm trying out. You can see my eyes. Oh no. You kind of already could through the sunglasses, so I just kind of decided, what's even the point? So, as you know, probably, if you're in the Transformers community, the PulseCon live stream event thing from Hasbro PULSE started today. So, I'm going to be talking about my opinion on some of the stuff that was shown. Just full disclosure, I wasn't there for the whole stream. I sort of was there at the beginning with the sort of selfie series thing. Then I stuck around until after they finished all the legacy reveals, because I had to go do stuff, like eat lunch, because it was lunchtime where I am. So, I wasn't there after the legacy reveals were finished. So, I'm just going to kind of talk about stuff. Let's just jump right into it with the reveals of what everybody wanted, what the team there even knew that we wanted. They did the little poll where they were like, oh, choose what you want us to talk about first. And toy reveals just completely won by a landslide because we all knew some good stuff was getting dropped. So, I'm just going to go in order of the order that they sort of talked about them, starting with the core class. And first we have Slug. I'm kind of 50-50 on the two core class Dinobots and the core class Dinobots as a whole. We knew they were going to happen at some point. They're pretty major characters in the grand scheme of Transformers. And I think overall, Slug turned out okay. Sludge, however, did not. I think that Sludge looks pretty bad, honestly, even for a core class figure. But I think I can excuse both of those being not ideal because of the combining thing. And then there was also Sound Blaster, which is good for me because I missed out on the core class Soundwave, and this will give me a chance to get a Sound Blaster and that mold, because I've heard it's pretty good. There was also the Shatter Glass Soundwave that got revealed. I think I'm going to get that, partially because I don't have the Netflix Soundwave mold, because, of course, like, it just didn't show up where I live. Utah problems. So I'm going to be getting that also because it comes with a white version of Ravage, and I'm going to make that look like Jack, which is my cat, if you didn't know. Get with the program. Anyway, so, getting into the deluxes, I don't remember the exact order that they were revealed, but I'm pretty sure the first one was Scrap Hook. Now, at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of decent. I wonder where they'll go with that. But now, yeah, I'm fully in. Speak of the devil, he's at my door. The cat is at my door, yowling. Anyway, Scrap Hook. Love it. I have a soft spot for the sort of Mad Max, Gaslands, sort of aesthetic, and this, I love it. I also like the idea of another tow truck Transformer, because the only one we really have is Hoist, and 2007 movie Long Arm. So, I'm definitely pretty excited for the new Junkions, especially because I feel like that is a really good place to take the weaponizer modulator concept. Because, you know, as they say in the stream, the Junkions would, like, you know, reassemble themselves. So, I feel like there's a lot of potential there. Speaking of which, the whole Evo Fusion thing, I don't really understand. Because for some characters, it's like combining weapons. For one, it's like an integrated weapon. I don't entirely get it, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, Scrap Hook, very excited. I like it. And I like the idea that you can sort of take multiple Junkions, because we know that they're going to do a few different kinds. Like, there's the one that people are thinking is Lockdown. I don't think it's Lockdown, but it could potential retool. Like, there's going to be different kinds of Junkions, like maybe one that turns into a car, one that turns into... I would love to see a tank. So I think that if they do that, then we can build up an army of different kinds and then just sort of mix and match them to create our own sort of unique army of Junkions. Because the problem with, like, Cog in them is that, yeah, you can just army build Cog, but what if I want to not just have a whole bunch of the same figure? What if I want them to be different? Which is how I would want to do it, because otherwise my brain can't subconsciously justify buying multiples of a figure. But I think the Junkions will give me that opportunity, and I also have some plans for them, potentially, in Transformers the sequels for Transformers Arrival. I will talk about that another day. That's a whole other can of worms. Next reveal. I don't know if it was next chronologically. I think it was, actually. I don't know. I don't remember the order that they went in.
Hotshot!
He looks janky. But that's kind of, I guess, the point. Because it's Armada Hotshot. Have you seen his original toy? He should look a little bit janky. And I think that it's an alright, it looks alright. And I like how he still has the sort of, as they called it in the stream, an Axel Zuka. I'm glad that that's still there. Would have maybe liked to see some mini-cons, but we have Micromasters. Well, even then, there isn't a helicopter, so... Oh well, no Jolt. But other than that, I think Hotshot looks fine. I don't really have a particular attachment to the Unicron trilogy, but I'll pick it up. I like it. Next up, technically this was the first one that they revealed and the first one that got leaked because it just showed up in Vietnam, is Breakdown. Now, as I said in my drag strip review, or at least I believe I said, I don't like Legacy Menasor. I don't think it looks good. I do not like the sort of skeleton approach where it's just big guy, just sort of a frame for Menasor, and then just wearing the cars as armor. Not a fan. I am content with Combiner Wars Menasor. However, I do like Breakdown as a character individually, so I might grab it. I've heard a lot of people complaining that it's not quite correct for a Countach. However, I did see on Reddit this morning that somebody said it kind of looks like a different Lamborghini that I don't remember the name of. But it's honestly not that big of a deal for me, as long as it looks kind of like a Lamborghini. Yes, it's objectively wrong, but it's fine. I, however, think that what would have been a cool idea with Legacy sort of bringing back characters from different continuities, specifically some of the Prime characters. So excited to get Knockout. He's showing up on Tuesday. Hyped. But speaking of Knockout, actually, I think it would have been cool if for the Legacy Menasor, just to shake up the G1 purists. Instead of doing a G1 breakdown, they just had them all be G1, and then Breakdown was Prime Breakdown. I think that that would have been pretty cool. Especially because it would have given me a chance to get a Prime Breakdown. Because I completely missed the re-release. Yay. Anyway, last but not least for the deluxes is Needlenose. And Needlenose himself looks pretty cool. His Target Masters, though, leaves something to be desired. Get with the budget that they can't do a fully fledged, like, this kind of Battle Master. But they're just lacking something. Like the original Double Target Masters. They are pretty faithful. But, I don't know. I think it would have been a bit better if maybe they just sort of reused Point Blank's Target Master. Just had two of those in different colors. You can retool them slightly, but I don't think that they look that great. But that's a nitpick. They're accessories at the end of the day. It's not that big of a deal. And Needlenose himself, as I said, looks pretty cool. Something that was weird, though, was during the live stream, one of the designers was like, oh yeah, when I first joined the team, I always wanted to do deluxe jet transformers, and I didn't know if that was possible. You've done it before. It is possible. Is there something I'm missing? That doesn't matter at the end of the day. Anyways, moving on to Voyagers. And oh boy, we got a big kahuna. But first, Leo Convoy. Or is it Lio Convoy? I don't know. He looks okay. Honestly, as I was saying in the chat, he actually looks better than the Masterpiece to me, honestly. I'm not that, like, big into, like, I don't really have any attachment to the character, so it's not as much a priority pickup for me, but I'll probably still get it to just sort of add to the Beast Wars crew collection. What I will have to buy, though, the polar opposite. This figure, every sort of new wave in recent years, I've had the one figure each wave that is my priority. Legacy Wave 1, Skids. Legacy Wave 2, Knockout. Legacy Wave 3, Crankcase. And Legacy Evo Wave 1, and I'm so happy to say this, it's Tarn. I have to get Tarn. I am a big fan of More Than Meets the Eye. I've read through all of it pretty recently. I am going to read Lost Light at some point, but since the audiobook, or the ebook thing that I use doesn't have Dark Cybertron, I just have this huge gap that I would prefer to fill in. Like, I tried reading the first issue of Lost Light, and I'm just, like, so confused, because I'd missed a bunch of stuff. It's kind of like when you're gone in a day of school, and then you come back, and there's, like, 20 assignments that are missing. Anyway, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the IDW comics, and Tarn, of course, is a prominent part of the comics. And he looks so good. He looks so good. He looks so comic accurate. He looks, I can't say anything other than he looks good. He has finger articulation. That's something that I'm glad we're seeing a lot more of nowadays with G-Axis, who I did get recently, and he is very good. But Tarn, more importantly, opens up possibilities. I'm not so much excited for the figure of Tarn itself, although I am very excited for Tarn because he looks really good. What I am more excited for is getting more comic characters, because this opens up the floodgates. We could get Fulcrum, we could get Anode and Lug, we could get a better Nautica that I actually can get, that isn't exclusive to a big, expensive multi-pack. Still kind of salty about that. We could get even just like an IDW style Fort Max. I honestly think they could retool Tarn to give us an IDW Fort Max, and I would buy that. We could get Pharma. That'd be so cool. I'm really rambling here, but I think I'm going to give my 2 cents, though, on the DJD as a whole. I think there is a potential that we could get the DJD, because I have a couple of pieces of sort of, I guess, evidence, quote-unquote, even though it's more of just a theory. I think that the sort of Decepticon mask that we all thought was Tarn on the poster, I don't know, but I think that could potentially be teasing some kind of combiner for the DJD. It's probably not. I think the theory of it being the robot form for the Nemesis that is potentially the Titan class this year, I think that that's probably more likely. But bear with me for a second. Imagine Voyager class Tarn, Voyager class Tesserus, Commander class Helix, Deluxe class Voss, Deluxe class Kaon, Core class Nickel, Core class Dominus Ambus. I think it could work. And before you say, oh, but the DJD is too violent, we can't get them as toys, because Hasbro would never do that. There is only one that I think would be really problematic to do as a figure, and that's Kaon, because he turns into an electric chair. I don't think that they could do that as a toy. But they could find a new all-mode form, turn him into a motorcycle or a little dune buggy or something like that. And I think the rest are all just kind of fair for the game. I mean, Voss, yeah, he turns into a sniper rifle, but guess what? We got Battle Masters. Just make him a very large one of those. Make him a smaller deluxe class and pack him with a massive beam sort of blast effect piece. That would be so cool. And then for Helix, he's a ship. I mean, yeah, he does the whole acid thing in his sort of cockpit area, but they don't have to advertise that. They could just say, oh, his cockpit opens. You can put, like, a deluxe inside. Oh, they can fly him. When in reality, the people who've read the comic know that that's actually, know what it actually does. I think Tesserus is the other one that might be a little problematic. But at the same time, we've gotten the Studio Series Devastator. And the only difference, really, between Tesserus' big chest grinder thing and Devastator's face grinder thing is that Devastator's is in his face. And we also, like, technically don't really see anybody getting killed by Devastator doing that, because somehow Mudflap survives. It's weird. Revenge of the Fallen is just not a good movie. But that's a story for another day. But I honestly think we could get the rest of the DJD. Even if they don't combine, which would be awesome, I think we could get the rest of them. And I mean, Nickel and Dominus Ambus, they're not like... I mean, Nickel is just like a little car thing, right? And then Dominus Ambus is the little Spark Eater Fox thing. They could just do that. And this brings me into my predictions. I think that, like I said, we will likely get the rest of the DJD. If not this year, maybe sometime next year. And I think that that face is either going to be a DJD combiner or the face of the Nemesis that could be the Titan class to kind of go with the arc. Other predictions, they mentioned that for the Dinobot combiner, there's going to be 6 of them, which brings me to 2 predictions. 1, I think we could see a core class combining Devastator at some point, which would be pretty cool, because then it would kind of mirror the G1, where they're just little guys that all combine. And I would buy that, because I don't have a Devastator, because the Combiner Wars one is expensive. However, 6 Dinobots, that's not something we normally get. The only time we've really gotten that was in Power of the Primes with Slash. And they specifically said he, when they were talking about, they said, oh, we've done our research to figure out who the 6th Dinobot should be. I think the hardcore fans can guess who he is. So it's probably not Slash, because Slash is usually depicted as a female character. So I think it's either going to be a G1-styled Scorn, or, what I'm more hoping for, Paddles the Plesiosaurus from the IDW. Was it the IDW or the Dream? I can't remember. Paddles the Plesiosaurus from one of the comics. Because I think the Plesiosaurus is a cool animal. I like it. It's the Loch Ness Monster. A Transformer that turns into the Loch Ness Monster. Who doesn't like that? And other predictions, I think that we see some figures on the poster. I'll just pop up some pictures. Of course, Armada Prime, everyone's going nuts over that. I'm guessing that will probably be there. I mean, it's not even probably. Alright, take 2. I'm guessing that will show up at some point, probably in the first 2 waves. We've got the Insecticons, which means you can see both Shrapnel and Bombshell. So we're definitely going to get those, and I'm excited for that, because I quite like Bombshell's design. Shrapnel's cool as well, I guess. But we also see some more Junkions, such as one that turns into a muscle car that I mentioned earlier. People are saying that they think it's Lockdown. I don't think it's Lockdown, but I think it could be retooled as Lockdown. I think it's just going to be a random Junkion, but there's a lot of repaint potential there. Of course, we're going to get the rest of the core class Dinobots. Any other predictions? Yeah, I think it's a possibility that we could see a Titan class Nemesis. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's really it as far as predictions. Maybe we could see some more of the double target masters. Maybe we could get Quick Mix. Maybe we could get a sort of revised Quake after Titan's Return, even though the Hardhead Titan's Return mold is one of my favorite Titan's Return figures. I'll explain why in a future video, probably a review. I just really like it. That aside, I think we could see some more double target masters. They also said, this is sort of a good segue into, not really a good segue, but sort of a segue into the last point that I want to talk about, which is the toxicity that I noticed in the live chat on the live stream. People were just being mean. Like, they had sort of, whenever they would introduce a new person, that would show their name and their pronouns. And people were being all like, oh, they're showing their pronouns? It's 2022. We all have pronouns. Get over it. I don't that debate aside, people were also just being mean because they announced that there wasn't going to be any new leaders for Wave 1 of Legacy Evo. And they were saying, oh yeah, because COVID is still there with supply chain issues and stuff like that. And I saw people in the chat going, that's no excuse. COVID is over. My mom got COVID last week. I don't think that that's the definition of it being over. And it is still a very real issue. Even if it was like just gone, even if COVID just disappeared, its effects would still be there. Supply chains have been backed up. It's caused a lot of issues. So, people were just being really toxic in the text chat, and I'm just not a fan. Like, people, it was making me kind of mad, because to an extent, I feel for the people in the text chat, especially when they were just clogging up time, it seems, with like those, like the selfie series figures. I was like, you promised us Transformers at the start, and there was no Transformers at the start. Where are they? But I think people were being needlessly toxic. Then again, that is kind of just a thing that happens in a lot of fandoms. And I did see a lot of positive support, especially when they announced Tarn. Pretty much everybody shut up and was just gawking that they actually did Tarn. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it's a vocal minority that are just being that toxic. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today from the PulseCon 2022 Day 1 thing. Supposedly there's some other news that I just wasn't around to see, and maybe I'll make a follow-up at some point once I am able to actually get concrete news about that stuff, like potentially a new video game. Woo! Anyways, that's about it. And until next time, this is Noble 2 Productions saying, peace out.